am Tessy Correya and I am here to present a paper on the choice between traditional and digital libraries with special reference to COVID 19 on the behalf of my colleagues Adheeshya and Sooraj as under the guidance of Ms. Sumshayas, Assistant Professor. We are first year MCOM students of St. Albert's College Autonomous. Moving on to the introduction, a novel coronavirus disease struck the world into global crisis since November 2019. It leads to a drastic changes to different sectors in order to counteract the expansion of the coronavirus. Educational sectors like schools and universities were closed in many countries around the globe. Changes were introduced in most countries quite quickly and drastically against the spreading of coronavirus. However, countries across the globe have taken different measures such as quarantine rules, curfews, lockdown measures, and border closures. The pandemic outbreak and its following consequences have led the students to choose digital libraries rather than traditional library. Nowadays, many university libraries have created digital ones for better functioning of curriculum activities during this pandemic, so as to provide new information services to the teachers, students, and other users, such as preserving digital information, providing 24 by 7 access to library resources, bigger storage, multiple choice facilities for improving research and sharing knowledge. The aim of this research is to study on the choice between traditional and digital libraries among college students in special reference to COVID-19 pandemic. Significance of study are: today we are living in a digital era where all the services being computerized. Libraries are not excluded from that. Digitalization of libraries helps every users by way of making books easily accessible at cheaper cost by providing a several collection at a single point, etc. The study is thus conducted to identify the cause for shift from traditional to digital libraries. Moreover, the lockdown due to COVID 19 has absolutely increased the use of digital libraries. We have to know the acceptance of digital libraries than traditional library during COVID 19 by the college students, and we are comparing the preference of students between traditional and digital libraries before and during COVID 19. Objectives of the study are to know the acceptance of digital library than traditional library during COVID-19 by the college students, to compare the preference of students between traditional and digital libraries before and during COVID-19, to identify the cause for shift from traditional to digital libraries. Research methodology, data used. Primary data was collected from various respondents from a group of college students. Secondary data were collected from appropriate and authenticated online newspapers, journals, magazines, websites, etc. Sample size, sample data was collected from about 50 respondents in and around Ernakulam city and parts of Kottayam. Tools used for analyzing the collected data. Data is collected with the help of mailed questionnaires, and following are the tools used for analysis. Percentage analysis diagram. Limitations of the study and scope of future study. Information provided by the respondents may be biased. The main limitation of the study was the current pandemic situation. Time was a constraint in carrying on the study in a more precise manner. Study was limited to a small sample. Therefore, future study can be conducted by taking large samples. Moving on to data analysis. 94% of respondents are aware about digital libraries, remaining 6% are still unaware. Majority of response uses digital libraries for 0 to 2 years and 2 to 4 years respectively, and the rest for above 4 years. As per the study, 24% of the respondents are aware about the digital libraries, each for 6, 12, and 24 months. 54% of the respondents had chosen traditional libraries over digital libraries before the pandemic. Most of the respondents are influenced by themselves for using digital libraries and the least for some other reasons. Majority of respondents preferred digital libraries during the pandemic, but the remaining are still preferring for traditional libraries. Most of the respondents use digital libraries for academic purposes and the least for recreational purposes. Ease of accessibility seems to be the most attractive feature of digital libraries. Most of the respondents never use the traditional libraries during the pandemic. Half of the respondents strongly agree that the traditional libraries are affected by COVID 19, and 2% of respondents disagree the same. 32% of respondents use digital libraries during the pandemic on weekly basis, and 4% never uses the digital libraries during the pandemic. Majority of the respondents agree the statement and the rest disagrees the same. Moving on to the findings, the data has been collected from college students. Of the total respondents, 82% are females and the rest 18% are males. 66% of the respondents are from urban area, whereas the remaining are from rural areas. 78% of students are pursuing post graduation and remaining 22% are pursuing undergraduation. Only 24% of students are using the library for more than 4 years, and the remaining were used less than 4 years. 94% of students are aware about the digital libraries, and 6% are still unaware. According to the study, 24% of respondents are aware about the digital libraries aged for 6, 12, and 24 months. 54% of students prefer traditional physical libraries over digital libraries. 38% of students shifted from traditional library to digital library on their own. 28% on the influence of their friends. 20% due to the government restrictions during lockdowns, and the remaining 14% from other reasons. 90% of the respondents preferred digital libraries during COVID-19, but still 10% are preferring traditional libraries. Majority of the students using digital libraries for academic purpose. 70% of students include in it, and 8% for recreation purposes. Ease of accessibility seems to be the most attractive feature of digital libraries. 72% of respondents are in that option. 38% of the respondents agreed that they have never used traditional libraries during COVID 19, whereas 2% agreed their use during COVID 19. From the study, we can understand that majority of respondents believe that traditional libraries are affected by COVID 19, but still there is 2% who strongly disagree the statement. 32% of respondents agree on their daily usage of digital libraries during COVID 19, and 4% of respondents remain not using it during the pandemic. As per the study, 96% of respondents agreed that COVID 19 increased the use of digital libraries, but the rest 4% disagreed with the same. Conclusion. But from the analysis of the data so collected from the sample population, people tend to give more importance to digital library rather than traditional library. In present scenario, the acceptance of digital library and the demand for the acceptance of digital library are increasing, and it will continue in the upcoming years. Easy accessibility of 24 by 7 mode is the major factor that attracted to use during this pandemic era. Majority of the respondents were use the digital libraries for academic purpose. Concluding, thank you.